to the weekend review with the great man Chris Roots. I love my favourite time of the week catching up with you, Ruda. I love just dissecting the weekend's racing. And I've got a new little background here, mate. We've gone next level here at Parliament, big fella. How are you?
Jesus, the green screen's got you going really well there, and like the earphones are actually moulding into the background. It looks fantastic.
Hey, we're going to get you onto it next week. Hey, listen, let's recap yesterday. We're going to Melbourne first, Orr Stakes. Jimmy Star, absolutely magnificent. We're all over Angel Capital, mate. Every chance, every possible for mine. And I think we have to acknowledge that Jimmy Star is a star. And he is the real deal, isn't he?
Well, after all, everything he's gone through this prep and things like that, he finishes it with a Group One. Like he's got the cash from Sydney, and now he's got the Group One status from Melbourne. He was really good yesterday. I thought when I was doing the race that Angel Capital will have his back. He did. But Angel Capital was off the bridle 200 metres before Jimmy Star, and he just did the job. And I think he's just kept on going to another level. Kieran Maher's done a really good job with him. He's obviously got better with every run, and there was a little question mark whether he'd gone a bit too far with coming back to Melbourne for that extra run. But in the end, he was clearly the best horse in the race, and clearly maybe the best sprinter in Australia now.
Angel Capital just can't get that Group One route up.
Yeah, well, he's had two cracks at it now. I don't think it's not going to happen. I think come the autumn, whether they look at a run down the straight in the Newmarket, but I think there's a race there for him, and all age might even work for him. He just looks a horse that's 6 months away still, doesn't he? He's just doing little things wrong, and when you're racing a star like Jimmy, you've got to do everything right to beat him. And at that level, you can't be doing things wrong. You can't win on pure ability, and everyone can see the ability. And I think Ben Mellon acknowledges he's got the ability, but he's just got to be able to be a bit more push button in the run and things like that. I think the third horse, Evaporate's a very good horse as well, and we'll be talking about all of them come the autumn next year when we come back to Group 1 racing in the East.
Mate, I reckon we saw a really good one too. One from the Moody Coleman yard. She's at Alibi. That's 4 from 7 now and been placed 3 other times as well. Smart win in the Sandown Guineas. She was impressive, wasn't she?
Well, she just brained them, didn't she? She got through on the fence, but it was the way she put them away and just kept on going away that's going to have a lot of tongues wagging. You're not going to get a price about her again. She's going to be very well found because everyone saw that. But she might just be one out of the box. She'll probably come back for a Furious Stakes, I'd say, the 1,400 metres at Randwick at Group 1 for the fillies. And, well, I think we're going to see how good she is in the autumn, and the Group 1 racing beckons for her.
Hey, another horse I want to touch on, and the reason I want to touch on it, Inkaruna, really unlucky last start. I don't reckon would have beaten Point Barrow. I love Point Barrow, you know that, Ruda, and
You're the number one
he's,
fan,
I
number
know.
one ticket holder.
I just absolutely, and the form's been frank though, because to be honest, Inkaruna absolutely blew him away there too. It was a soft win in the end.
Can I just tell the audience a story about Point Barrow? And when you rang me up and said, and I told you it wasn't running in the Coolmore, I think there was a little tear on the upper end of the phone. Like,
mate, there
it
was. I had a few doubles of that going into it. I was shattered.
It was outstanding, but Ikaruna was really good there yesterday. She was in the right part of the track. I think the favourite, My Gladiola, probably played into the 3 guard trick to be back towards the inside. Probably wasn't the best ground, and she just couldn't get to where Inkaruna got to. But Inkaruna, in the end, she had all the revs up and she ran through the line really well. That's going to be a really good race in times to come. It's $1 million now. I know they've got they want to eventually build it up to a Group 1 for the 3-year-old fillies, but I think Inkaruna is one that we can follow. I don't know how far she can go and whether she can match it with the best sprinters in the land, but I think she'd be well placed in a couple of handicaps, maybe a Oakley Plate, a Galaxy, maybe even a Newmarket. They're the sort of sprinter races that I think she might be well placed in the spring, but in the autumn. You've got to start thinking about that with these horses that are coming through, and just have an eye on the futures markets, because sometimes you can find one that the bookies don't, and the boys at Palmer Bet will always take a bet from you.
Absolutely, they will. And what about Team Freeman? Ikaruna, Point Barrow, Ten Taurus. They have got an absolute stranglehold of the sprinting races, certainly moving forward. Surely, Runa.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that they'll split those three up and try and keep them away from each other. So,
Yeah.
could Inkaruna or Point Barrow end up in a Furies as well? They're the sort of races you're looking at. There's a there That's only option for really sprinting 3-year-olds to sprinting mile of 3-year-olds to run in the autumn. So that shapes as a stranglehold for Melbourne at the moment. And then of course you add in a Populistic. It's going to be a good race to look forward to in February.
Hey, listen, talking about tracks and talking about racing, Newcastle yesterday, or on Saturday. How did you see it? How did you feel it played? You were all over this early in our podcast last week, the way the track was going to race.
Yeah, it's raced like that for the 7 editions of the Hunter now. It's raced virtually the same. Back towards the inside, horses that are on the fence and in front have got a massive advantage. They were just running up to them 3 and 4 and 5 wide on Saturday, and it was like they were hitting a brick wall. Like if you look at the last 3 winners, they all come in this basically on the same pad of grass, and that's not good for turnover. People don't like betting on a track where you have a significant advantage for one type of horse. But then there's other people who say, well, I'll bet for the profile of the track, and they would have been very happy because you would have had to been on Coal Crush, you would have had to be on the Blade in the last. Like they just look like horses that are going to roll and keep rolling, and that's what they did. A good day, a great promotion. I don't think we can say enough about this now, that these races out in provincial areas and in the country in Victoria, where you've got a big advantage because your cities, your major centres are a lot closer to town than where we are in New South Wales. They add so much to racing, and with a track like Newcastle, it's just a pity because it's one of the best tracks in the country. They just need to get it right, and they need to work on it. I think the summers might be a good time for them to work on it and try and work out how they can make the track an absolutely perfect racing surface they can win from back and front.
Yeah, and just on that, so we go to Cranbourne Cup and Meteorite this weekend, and then we head into a Ballarat Cup the following weekend. So you're right, these provincial meetings around country New South Wales and country Victoria get their time to shine, that is for sure. Hey, Ruda, what about the Joe Pride train? It just continues to roll on. He Quinellas, the Herald Hunter, Cole Crusher accredited. He's absolutely on fire at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, and Cold Crusher, what a marvellous old horse he is. He's won first horse to win 2 Hunters, and done it in fairly similar fashion. Gets to the front, and when the blinkers go on with him, you just want to be with him. He put the writing on the wall in the lead up to it. Um, in and going back and looking at this race, and as I said the other day, it's usually horses that are on their way up and progressive through the grades. Cold Crusher's probably at his mark, but on a track like that, he's where he can roll, get his own way, and then he kicks clear. Like he gave nothing else a chance. Creditor was good late, second again, second first up, second again. Probably goes on towards a festival stakes. I would say that there's a few of them that will go on towards that. Yorkshire, the favourite, had cardiac arrhythmia, so put a line through that. I don't know what John O'Shea's going to do with it. I think you'll probably have to have another run before the Ingham, just to show that the horse is back to its where he thought it was, and that could be the festival as well. So going through the race, there's a couple that will go forward now. I don't know what they'll do with Cold Crusher, whether they'll try and stretch him, but I think he's better suited at around that 1400 metre mark. So whether they try him in a festival, we'll wait to see. But Joe's just doing a marvellous job, isn't he? He's red bright. And if you ever want to see Joe Pride horse in the run, he uses red bridles. So Chris Waller's got the white bridles. Joe's got the red ones. The red comes from John Size, who he learnt his craft off. And he just gets horses, as particularly horses, those older horses, he just gets the best out of them every preparation. And looking forward to seeing Attica back for him. Chio Wolf, like he's got a fair team there that he's going to have a lot of fun in the autumn.
Oh no, he's got a lot of bullets to fire, that is for sure. Hey, great spaces for Bjorn Baker. And Rachel King was really impressive too in the spring stakes, mate.
Yeah, it was a very good win, wasn't it? It just late, it just brained them, and I noticed Bjorn's man there was saying that he was thinking it was a Derby horse. Well, that might be where it's going. We were talking about that race before the race, that there might be one jump out of the ground that can really show uh, be a be a special horse. And Green Space, it might just be that horse. Of course, it only beat a 4 horse field last start, but the way it did it over 1600, you think getting out towards 2000 and 2400 will be right in it up its wheelhouse. I think the second horse is a really interesting one for Brett Kavanaugh. Um, Bird Whistle. It was close enough to 80 to 1, but she just kept on finding the line. And although the winner was very impressive, don't forget her, because I think she might go up a silly price at an Oaks, and that's where she'll head. I don't know whether it's Sydney or Brisbane, but I think she's one to keep in their black book, and is one that bookmakers might miss in early markets.
Hey, listen, Group 1 racing heads to Ascot this weekend. Railway Stakes is the bet, and all eyes for you, Ruta, are going to be on Cosmic Crusader. It was a sick watch over the weekend.
Yeah, he got Willie Pike, didn't he? Like Willie on Storyville slowed them up. He had Clint Johnson Porter had him in the perfect spot, but he just had coming to the turn, and it's only a short straight at Ascot. He just had nowhere to go. He couldn't build his revs. He couldn't do anything. He gets out with 50 metres to go, and I still don't think he hit top gear by the time they hit the line. So um, he's probably going to be on the outside looking in for all those people who are believing the Adam McGrath mail, that he's the best horse in Western Australia, and he's going to win a railway. Well, he might not get the chance to do it this year, but he's certainly wherever he goes, whether they try and get another run into him, get into a Northerly or something like that. It's one of those things. I think Storyville was very good in that race going forward. Where I note the market's very congested at the top. Ozapenko on a plane tomorrow. Tim Clark to ride on Saturday. He comes out of winning the Little Dance, and it's the first time he's got back in the winning store for a while. He might be one. I think there's there's still some 11 to 1. I'm not sure what he's at Palmer bet, but if I was to have a bet at the moment, I think he'd be the one, because I don't know the Western Australian form well enough to sort of pick out one of them other than my man Adam McGrath.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's a good man in it too. That is for sure. $7 Aussie Penko. The other one, Iona Merkit's on the flight over there tomorrow. The WA Guineas is the other one too. We've got a shorty there, $1.80 King of Light. Looks like going to be very hard to beat. Ruta.
Yeah, it was very good last start. It just absolutely charged home late to get over the top of them. Don't rule out Rockfest. I've had a very good judge who does a bit of work around there, and it's not Adam. Say that he thinks it can win the Guineas and win the Northerly. It's been well backed in the Northerly. It's 20s into $11, and it'll start even shorter if it wins the Guineas. So 2 horse race. You asked to take even money one of them and 450 the other one. I'll be taking the 450 and hoping they get closer together by race time and chopping out on the favourite.
And the other futures look, mate, is the Gong heading back your way. Gringotts is the favourite at $2.25. At Palmer Betsabar, 6.50. Estadio Mistella at $8. Tabby Tom, $8. Vivier, $8. Duke de Sessa, $11. It was really impressive, Gringotts last start on Melbourne Cup Day.
Well, you wouldn't think you'd see a George Ryder winner in a Gong, but he's going to get there with probably 62, the top weight. That'll compress the handicap, because the horses at the bottom, they won't be as near to him. So it's going to be a funny race. It's almost going to be a set weights race with one at the top and a lot down the bottom. I think he's a class above them, and obviously Kira Mars decided, well, I can run for $1 million at home and just go up the road from Mossvale, which is only about an hour away from Wollongong, and rather than putting him on a plane, keep him here and keep him going. And
Spot on.
he's had a big spring, even though he didn't get to run in the bigger races where he was being aimed. When they dropped him back a keg, he's just too good for these horses. And 230, I think by Saturday that might look a very good price.
Rude, I don't want to sound flat, but geez, I was a little bit flat on the weekend. Coming off such a magnificent 5 or 6 weeks of that spring carnival, it just didn't have the same feel on the weekend or something, did it? Like, it was still good, but it just didn't have the same feel, did it?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think that meetings always suffers from being after Cup week, and they're trying their best to do something with it. And it's always been, I've always loved that Sandown meeting they used to have in Melbourne. Now it's at Caulfield. I think you get to a point where you've been going for so long, you've got to come off that high. So we still got to see a very good horse in Jimmy Star. We got to see Inkaruna was very good. She's an Alibi, is another good horse. So there was still the quality there, but it's nothing beats Flemington with 50,000 people chanting Viga's name, does it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, listen, mate, it's always great to catch up. Now, they tell me you've just snuck out for a nice little steak night tonight, mate. Where'd we head to, buddy?
Yeah, we try and get out every Sunday night for a date night and down to the local RSL. They do a really good steak down there, the Oatley RSL. So it's quite warm here today. So it's probably pouring where you are. It is Victoria. You
It
don't have the
actually is,
beautiful
mate.
weather like us in Sydney.
We don't get tropical weather, mate. I was on the Great Ocean Road today and it was absolutely howling and it was bucketing down, that is for sure. You should
And
be on
went up a one.
free.
I managed to go up a 118 street while I was on the phone to you. I don't know how you do that in the middle of the country.
Oh, mate, don't worry. I don't know how I did it either. I was chasing ice cream, believe it or not, for the kids. So, yeah, very, very good. And you should be on free food, giving that the local RSL a bit of a plug, mate. They should be looking after you for steak night next week. Hey, download the Farmer Bet app, get involved, have a look at some futures punting too. The Gong this weekend, the Railway Stakes. They are the couple of races that we're in the WA Guineas that we'll be looking at this week, of course, in Bolton, mate. Look forward to catching up then. It's always a pleasure. It's always great to catch up, mate. You have a great couple of days, buddy.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.